second conversation for today. We're joined by representatives of the Elections and Boundaries Department, two registering officers. We have Brendalyn Staine and Rosalba Chan. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, welcome.
Ladies, you are here to give us the update. We are starting to manage the expectations as to what people can expect come April 10th. And I want to ask just, the last time we saw an interview with Ms. Tamai, she was talking about getting things in order for the referendum because it's different from what we normally do with an election, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the challenges in preparing for a referendum? What's different?
Well, if you notice, we had our old register repeal. That was for the people that registered from July 1997 up to present 2018, and we went straight into a re-registration exercise that lasted from July 2018 to September. October 1st, we started continuous registration, and it's not a normal registration, it's the whole country being re-registered over. So that first thing going into the referendum for the following year, that's some of our challenges, no?
Yeah.
So what takes place now, we are getting prepared for the referendum, and what we are here today basically to talk about is to encourage registered voters, people who are qualified to be re-registered, to visit our offices and make an application so that they can exercise their right in this upcoming referendum.
What percentage of the previously qualifiable electorate have re-registered? What percentage are we? 90? 95?
No, we're
99?
not at 95. The
What's
last
the
time
number?
it was like 130,000.
What percentage
And we've been
are we?
over 200,000. I would say most about roughly
130,000
right
so
now.
far?
Yes, so far.
But you do have one more month.
So what's the percentage, sorry? You were finishing. What's the percentage of?
Compare from the last re-registration, I would say I would round it off to about 50%, basically. Yeah.
So the previous list had 200
plus registered voters.
and up to now we have about 130,000.
Yes.
So there still is one more month. Legally, people have to register 1 month before they participate, right? So
Yes,
explain
ma'am.
to me what that means.
Ms. Chan will do that.
Okay, parcels can, if they qualify, they can come into the offices at the any elections and boundaries offices that they reside. The parcels must be a Belizean, must be living in the electoral division for at least 2 months. Persons from the Commonwealth country, as long as they can show proof that they have been living in the country for at least a year, 12 months, they can qualify. Persons that are naturalized Belizeans and come into the office as well, as long as they have their naturalization documents, and they can get registered.
Now, you say that we're at 50%. So what's the pace? Because 50% is a bit, in my opinion, a bit low. You want to get back to 100 ideally. If it was a test, I feel. But what is the pace? Because we cannot look at the 50%, because maybe people are registering at a pace so that in the next 10 weeks or the next 8 weeks, whenever the referendum is, or the cutoff point for it is, we might get up to 80%. What is the pace of people coming in to re-register?
Well, presently we are seeing minimal increases in different offices. People are still coming in to be re-registered. Hence the reason we are here on the talk show, encouraging people to come in and re-register. Because what happened is that during the re-registration process, it was very easy for people to be re-registered.
Yeah.
You could come in with your social, we had a lot of exercise and people still didn't come. So now with the continuous registration, now you need to bring in your valid passport, you need to bring in a birth certificate with a social security card, and we know it's challenging for some people to get their birth paper at this time, no?
Yeah.
But we had exercise and sent out numerous, we had ads, we had talk shows telling people to come out and re-register.
So you're
especially
saying it
for
was
this
easier
referendum.
during the re-registration process versus now?
The continuous registration, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Has there, and I really, what is the coordination with the Vital Stats unit? They're both government departments. And one of the things we hear a lot from people is that, well, we don't even need to hear it. We've seen it. We've done stories, many things. Vital stats is near impossible to get through in adequate time. And if I have to go get what is the updated birth paper, for example, I may not meet the deadline.
Well, we still register people with the long birth certificate.
Oh,
know.
you do?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, we do.
Okay.
Because by law it's not terminated or anything.
Okay.
So people can still register with their old long birth certificate.
Okay. So if someone has to access something through Vital Stats, is there any communication Elections and Boundaries can do with Vital Stats if they can't get their papers in time?
Well, that was during the re-registration process, but now you need to communicate your proper documents to be re-registered.
Okay.
So during the re-registration, it was easy for us to. But we still have contact with Vital Statistic Unit. Those are for the person with the long birth certificate. We send it to be authenticated at Vital Statistics Unit.
Yeah. Is there an idea of the demographics of the people who have come in so far to take advantage of the re-registration process? Is it the younger people, the middle-aged people, the older people? Who's the biggest category?
I think it's the younger population.
Nice.
And we were out there, we have been trying to reach out to the public. We went to the St. John's campus. We had a re-registration drive there.
Nice.
We had another one at the BTL Park. We were trying to reach as much people. We registered persons from all throughout the country, and then all the information was sent to the respective offices. People were there with their passport, whatever documentation, and we just took the application. And hence the reason why we facilitate these type of events so that we can get the population registered. The ones that are not registered, we target them, and we were trying to reach more to the public, but because of the long hours and so forth, we were unable to do much more than what we did. But we did a fair share of our part.
Which district has had the highest registration so far? Do we know?
Like
Corozal.
Corozal.
Wow.
Okay. And the lowest?
Please don't say Punta Gorda and Staine.
I really don't know.
Okay.
No, you guys have been doing a lot of work. I mean, the public servants over there at the Elections and Boundaries Department, I think you guys should get a raise, increment, whatever it is, immediately. This is a lot of work. From a logistics perspective, because the policymakers, the politicians can speak. We're going to have re-registration, we're going to have a referendum on April 10th. But from a standpoint of the people who have to do the real work, when they don't talk, we don't have to do the real work.
Yes.
Is the time frame for logistics, from a logistical standpoint, is the time frame kind of a bit, let me use a kind word, it's a bit challenging to come right, because we're still, at 50%, you're still in the middle of re-registration, and slam bam while you're in the middle of re-registration, in the middle of a surgery, they want to purge your CNTI? Is it, from a logistics standpoint, isn't this a bit challenging? I'm being very kind.
Well, from our perspective, it's challenging, but we have always worked under so many challenges. So it is something that can be done, and it will be done.
So a referendum is different from an election in quite a few ways. And I want to ask some of the specifics that I've had lingering questions about. So when you set up a polling station, is it going to be the same amount as we typically see on an election day across the country? Are we going to have the same amount of polling stations and more polling stations?
Well, we want to reach out to many voters, so we'll be opening up different polling stations, especially in the rural areas, to get out people. For Belize City, we have the same polling station that will be opening. And
but in the rural, you'll have more.
we'll definitely focus on opening more polling stations.
For those that live in far distances from the polling station, they are going to make recommendation that other polling stations be open.
Now this is important because one of the challenges, and it's interesting because in Guatemala when they did their referendum, it was one of the same things that their elections commission was concerned about. That when you don't have the mobilization of the political parties, in other words, the group that goes and pick up the voter, bring them to the polling station, if you don't have that, some people may not come out. So what you're saying is to be able to perhaps make it easier, you want to do more polling stations in some of the rural areas so they can reach.
Yes.
Okay. And then within the polling stations itself, there's usually a polling agent, but usually have representatives of the different parties there
Overseeing.
to oversee the process. Is there going to be anyone overseeing the process in the referendum?
Well, the referendum works similar to the elections of House of Representatives. So there are and there will be things in place in order for that to be addressed as well.
What are the specific things that we
The specific things are basically the same normal when you open the elections for 7 o'clock and close it at 6 o'clock. There will be the announcement of the results, but then this will be done by the chief
Elections officer only.
Only
So that's a big difference
and,
right there.
There will be certain mechanism in place for certain things like the weapons, the cellular phones, that when you go into the polling stations, you need to not use them. You can take them in the polling station, but do not use them inside of the polling station.
So the same rules will apply.
Yes.
But
You'll go in, you'll check your name, you'll go into the little booth, you'll mark yes or no.
Yes,
But do
ma'am.
we know whether or not they'll have representatives
Yes.
or spaces for representatives to
From the
oversee the referendum? And I don't know if would it be political parties? That's why I'm saying there's some questions I don't know how it'll work as yet.
the answer those?
Have you worked that out as yet?
Not that I know.
Well, if there will certainly be
Polling
representatives
agents.
and polling agents and so forth. So whatever mechanism will be in place, they will be announcing it at the proper time and so forth.
Okay.
But those must already be in place because we're making plans, and this is where it is 11:45 and we want to rise 12 o'clock. So we must be prepared now. There are other specific things that I wanted you to address, you guys to help us address, if you have the answers. Like, for example, one of the things that has been raised by a high-ranking member of one of the political parties is the concern that when you have an elections, you have persons who argue over whether or not a vote is for one particular point or for the next. So the NABR get up and say, no, this is one for the VIP, and the VIP they said, no, this is for we can put it in the box there. How will that be managed?
Okay, we're talking about...
How will issues like, I'm rolling them in two, sorry. But issues like, that Kevin can't vote, Kevin not registered, he not appear here. Things like counting and making sure that the thing is sealed properly and that it is done so that we don't have questions about the integrity of the process. Not about the officers, but the integrity of the process. Could you address me on those three specific things? What plans are in place
Okay,
for
well,
those?
if you notice for the referendum, there will be a question that will be imposed to the public. Basically, you will have will be a box with, well, I don't know exactly how it will be set up, but basically it's a yes or no. In any election, depends on how they set the ballot paper. And if you put let's say you're putting your X for a no, then you will have that section to put your no. So if you just left your ballot paper blank, then basically you're not saying yes or no, right? That's not spoiled, that's rejected.
Rejected, sorry.
Yeah, because it's already been in the ballot box, right?
Yeah.
And for example, if you decide that you want to put 2X for yes and a no, that is rejected because we cannot, the presiding officer and the agent that will be working there, the elections, the public officer that will be running the elections, it's the same thing because public officer will be running the elections. If you put it somewhere, some mark whereby it's between, but like I said, I don't really know the logistics of how the ballot paper will actually be set up at this very specific moment, but it depends on how it will be set up. Then basically it's you, the voter, that needs to make it clear. And if you go back of the polling booth and you make any error for whatever reason, you can always go back and request for a new ballot paper. Get the presiding officer to sign, and those are what are called spoiled. You get a new one and then you put it back into the ballot box. In any elections, our department cater for transparency. So that definitely we will have transparency, and people will continue to know that the election is free and fair.
But I want to just, because so we said that, the responsibility is to make a clear X. But I think what Kevin is asking, in addition to many things, is that when we go to the counting process, we're used to, and that's why I'm saying, this is, to be clear, this is the first independent referendum the government of Belize is hosting. The elections and boundaries were met. We've had referendums tied into other elections, which made the process a bit different. But, so now we don't know who will verify or argue on behalf of a voter if they're not on the list. Now we don't know how the counting will unfold. And I want to get there because I think that's perhaps the most interesting one. Who will oversee the counting of the ballots for the referendum? And who will argue if, for example, if let's say the yes and no are next to each other, a line goes into the next one, which is where some of the arguments take place on a voting night.
Yes.
With whether it means yes or no. Who will be the one to scrutinize a vote to decide this is actually a yes or this is actually a no?
Well, first of all, you have to look at it that this is not a political election.
Yeah.
First thing you need to know. Because the ballot paper won't have anything red or blue on it. In that sense. So first thing you know, it's not a political election. It's not it's not an election for an area representative.
No.
Right? So
No,
you know
but
it's a national election for people to decide whether they want to take
That's
our
right.
Guatemalan claim
to the
to
ICJ.
the ICJ.
But you will concede that it is political because
well,
But not from the
three-
perspective of how it's being conducted in the election.
I understand, but when it comes from a standpoint of mechanics, there clearly are very deep lines drawn in the sand. You have the government and the United Democratic Party who are saying yes as in political institutions, partisan political institutions. And then you have the PUP and the VIP BPP who are saying no. So when it comes to the mechanics and the dynamics, the energies, and then this election also means this is a bit above your jurisdiction, but it does have ramifications for the way the day plays out. This elections is not just an election for a referendum. It has other ramifications. And so the energies and the quarrels and the outcome are dependent on and have political implications. So when you have somebody, the need for somebody in there to say, no, this is definitely a yes. See this one, I put a name on it, but
Can I just get an answer to the question? Has there been any process identified as to who will scrutinize or if there will be people scrutinizing the vote, yes or no?
Definitely in all our counting stations, we will have polling agents.
Will there be representatives of external entities? So Kevin is saying, yes, there are political parties divided on this issue, but there are also established yes campaigns and established no campaigns. Has there been a decision made as to whether these persons who are pushing a particular agenda will be involved in this scrutinizing? Has the decision gone that far as yet?
Remember that the referendum is also governed by the laws of the elections of a representative and House of Representatives as well. So there will be agents, there will be, well, the political parties, because they are part of the agents that come in the stations. So possibility are that they will be right there, making sure that making sure that the people come out and vote, and making sure that whatever they are arguing for or in favor of, they will be fighting for that. So they will be in the polling station.
So because the laws currently allow for it,
allows for it,
and the referendum is run like an election,
yes,
there is a space available, usually for political parties, because you're voting for parties or political representatives, for people to scrutinize the voting, the counting itself and the voting.
Yes.
Okay. And the counting stations, so we said we'll see, or there is a request for more polling stations. Will there also be the same, or will there be the same number of counting stations established as in a regular election?
It's only the polling stations that we will be having more numbers. With the counting station, it's one counting station per electoral division.
Okay, and you said something before that I think needs to be clarified. You said this is the first time that the chief elections officer will be the only, I heard that very clearly, person to declare the results. Please explain to me what has changed.
Okay, because we are governed, well, you know, there's a Belize Referendum Act.
Yes.
That is Chapter 10 of the Laws of Belize. We had Act of 1 2008, we had Act 20 of 2017. And just to specify exactly what I'm going to say to you guys is that, you know, to every election there is a writ of referendum, just like there's a writ of the election, whereby you will have 31 returning officers for each electoral divisions. And the return officers are appointed by the Elections Among This Commission, right? You know, we have a commission. It is important to note that returning officer shall not declare the results of the ballots in electoral division. And that is quoted in the Referendum Act. If you download the Referendum Act, you will see it. And it says the chief election officer shall issue a certificate stating the results of the referendum in the entire country.
So there'll be no updates provided until the final
until the
number
chief
is
elections
tallied.
officer announces the results of the election.
What about the total number of voters, as we've become accustomed to hear throughout the course of the day? Is that still allowed for?
Total amount of voters?
Yeah, the voter turnout as we go through the day.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about at this very set point.
Okay.
But my chief elections officer will be on your talk show soon, so you can ask more questions.
Yeah.
But we are here just focusing on getting people to come out and re-register. We are open between 12 and 1. I'm sure that we'll be open more to try to cater for the public.
So you're open through lunchtime?
Yes, ma'am, we do open between lunchtime.
Will there be another drive? Belizeans tend to be last-minute people. You can't help it. It's just where we are. Because we're very trusting people, you know. We're very optimistic, so we always feel we could squeeze it in last minute. But the same way at the beginning there was special facilities where you could go in on Saturdays and that kind of thing, and you know, these drives. Will there be another last-minute push where we're going to have these offices open on Saturday and sort of like a last-minute push to try to get Belizeans out to re-register to get ready for this?
I'll have Ms. Chan answer that question.
Yes, Ms. Chan. Mike, for you.
Okay, it is something that we have normally tried to get to the public. So we facilitate them in whatever way that we can. If there will be a extension to whatever dates we have so far, it will be announced. And probably they will have something in place, and as soon as they have it in place, they will be announcing it through a press release.
What you have right now is an opening through lunch hour in addition to your 8 to 5.
Yes, ma'am. And on Fridays from 8 to 4:30.
So what the additional offices or additional spaces where you could register, the extended days, all of those things, those were the re-registration periods.
Yes,
the re-registration ended. So
yes,
now you're back to
our offices.
Continuous registration.
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that I have to go to the Elections and Boundaries office and go through the process with passport or
valid passport
or birth certificate
with a social
and social security card.
Yes, ma'am.
Those are the only two things, and I guess a nationality.
Yes, ma'am.
Certificate.
And if you have a deed poll, because you know people had changed their name.
Okay.
Adoption certificate. If in the case of a female that has been married, you know, most female want to use their married name, then they will need to bring in their marriage certificate from Vital Statistic Unit.
Okay.
So
please ask the boss to go back to the registration process so that we can up this number. You think that they would listen?
I don't know.
But you can make the call, but at the same time, what I wanted to clarify too, because people are still asking for their voter ID. So have we gotten an update as to when they can get them or when they can pick them up? Because what you might have is 2 rushes coming in at the same time, last minute registration and people picking up.
I feel sorry for you.
Well, you know. So what are we looking at here?
Okay, the identification cards will be delivered by phases. It will start for the first week of July. The persons that had registered for the first week in July, they will be the first persons that will be getting their identification card. A public announcement will be made as soon as the persons can come into the offices to pick up their identification card.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. So if you were one of the early re-registration people, you'll get your card first. And you'll have a set schedule as to when you can pick up.
Yeah. In the villages for the different districts, there will be schedules that the Elections and Boundaries staff will be going to the villages, certain places, certain times, to deliver the identification cards to the persons.
But if you don't get your card, you can still vote.
Yes, sir.
I was going to say that because one of the things is that we have up until March 10th to register if we want to participate in the referendum, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And if I register on March 10th, I probably won't get my card in time, but I can still go
No,
out.
you will still get your card.
Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Okay. That's good to know. So we have, and let's talk about that deadline because March 10th is quickly approaching. We're 1 month away.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So after March 10th, so March 11th, if I go register on March 11th, I can't vote.
Is that the holiday, or because if you notice, 9th of March is the Saturday. Then we have the 10th is the Sunday. We have the 11th, which is
Well, the 11th would be the holiday then. Yeah. So if I go register on March 12th, I won't be able to vote in the referendum.
That's a very technical question.
No, because it closes off 1 month before the actual vote, right?
The manner in which it is set right now,
Yeah.
it's for March 10th.
10th.
Yeah.
However, if they have any additional information that they will want to get to the public, it will be via
Okay.
a press release. So for now, it's March 10th.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very important for people to know because you don't want to miss the window. And remember on March 20 something, oh, I want to go register for vote in the referendum.
Can I ask this? What do you think is the single biggest reason that people have come in and said, this is why I came in to re-register? And what would you tell them now? You're making a pitch. Belizeans, please come in and do something what you need for donor. Please come in and re-register. It's for all different kind of reasons, not just the referendum, but also for the long-term other referendums that we may have, whether or not it's, So what is the pitch? What do you think is the message that connects with Belizeans the most? Not in terms of whether they vote yes or no for the ICJ, but simply to just do the preparatory work. What is the biggest pitch that you can put to them out there to say, come in and re-register, please?
Well, at least on my part, this is something that is long overdue in the sense that it's a national issue. Be a part of it. And if you realize in the referendum back, it states that the vote is from a majority of votes. So if only 20% show up to vote saying no or yes, then if you did not participate, then you basically didn't have any say in it. So if we decide to go to the ICJ or not, then it will be those persons that went in to re-registered who were qualified to vote in the referendum. So that's the reason why, at least on my part, I can encourage people that, yes, most people that I have spoke with saying that they will be re-registering when there's an election. But I just want to let people know that this is bigger than an election. You understand? This is a national issue whereby we can participate in. If you notice in the past referendum act that we had amended, you had to have like 10% of the registered voter in order to call. But no, since the act was repealed, no, this is a national issue whereby everyone can have a say in this referendum. So it's not like only like Belize still will be able to vote for this referendum. It's the whole country of Belize. So if you are a Belizean, 18 years old, living at that address, we're urging you to come and visit our offices. We will attend to you professionally, as we always do.
Yes.
And the opening hours, 8 to 5, right through lunch.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much.
But only Monday to Thursday.
Monday to Thursday.
And
8 to
Friday
5.
it's 4:30.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming in and reminding us that we have a duty, if we've not gone in and registered yet, to be able to do so. We
Yes,
missed
ma'am.
the easy time of re-registration.
Right, presently, the registration is kind of a little bit slow, so if you come in, we have the time
Be
to tend
quick
to you
to
to
come
be
in.
quick, 8 to 10 minutes tops.
And we have additional personnel as well.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming in and sharing this update. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about World Epilepsy Day. So stay tuned.